always had that something in you where you wanted to strive for better. So describe for me, what has your journey been like in life?
The journey it's been very hard because, I was on public assistance, so it was like, at first it was a boundary there. Anybody knows about public assistance, they don't want you to go so far or they're going to cut it off.
When you describe yourself now, tell me, who's Freddie Stevenson, the man that you are now?
A few years ago, I remember in college, they would always have speakers come in and ask us who we are. I wouldn't have been able to answer the question. It probably would have had something to do with football. I'm a fullback for Florida State. I want to play in the NFL. But now it's just simple. I'm Freddie Stevenson, man of purpose.
This is a passion of mine. The whole premise behind the Jazzie Conversations with Jazz podcast is to spotlight the fact that it is now time for you to get your dope comeback story.
Hey, say Jazzie Conversations with Jazz. Jazzie Conversations with Jazz. Say Jazzie Conversations with Jazz. Jazzie Conversations with Jazz.
Every Monday, I call people into a studio and we dig into their comeback stories, because I know that we see people in their glory and we see people when they're on top, when they can have that silver lining to them, but we all go through some things, right? We all go through some things, and I think once we're real with people and we let people know the trials and tribulations that we've gone through, it only makes us human and it connects one of us.
So I just want to know, what would be your advice to someone who is looking to start their own podcast?
First and foremost, let me back up. Find your voice. What are you going to talk about? Is it something that people want to listen to? How long will your podcast be? What's going to be the consistency of your podcast? Are you going to do it like weekly, daily? Are you going to do it monthly? So once you find that, because that's going to indicate if somebody wants to listen to your podcast or not. I do know how I'm doing it. I'm doing it with God. I'm doing it because this is a passion of mine. And when you are passionate about something, you're not going to stop. So it really it comes down to how bad do you want it. Happy Friday, Jazzie crew. You are now tuned into the Jazzie Conversations with Jazz podcast. I am your host, Jasmar Jazz Bennett, mother, educational leader, event and podcast host. And we are here today with a very special episode. I can tell you that my special guest for today is someone that, if it happens like this, I will definitely always try to make sure that I am available. If I get the call, I am answering it. And so, you have those very special people that you meet along the way in life that just resonate with you and just pour into you, that inspire you, and you're there for them. And so my special guest for today is exactly that person. Before we go on into this episode and I introduce my special guest, I need for you to make sure that you are tapped into this episode. This is episode 141. We are into season 3 of this podcast. Make sure that you have subscribed, that you are following, that you like and you share, you rate and review this podcast episode on YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram and your favorite podcast platform. You know that I believe that you can come back from anything with God, the right resources, knowing how to use those resources effectively, and your willingness to do the work. On this podcast, you are my Jazzie crew, and you know that all gold diggers are welcome. That's GOAL diggers are welcome. So today, for my special guest for episode 141, I am very honored to have this woman of God on my podcast, Dr. Rhmi Lacy. She is an anointed woman of God committed to evoking change to the body of Christ by building up and strengthening ambassadors for the kingdom of God. She is a multifaceted executive. She's a life coach, She is also a spiritual midwife trainer. She's known for her dynamic delivery of God's word, her keen ear for God's voice, and her authoritative blind faith in carrying out God's word. She is a licensed clinical social worker and is an innovative businesswoman who has opened several community centers and 5 early learning centers. She founded A.H.E.A.R.T, that's A.H.E.A.R.T Ministries, a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting families with infants in crisis. Dr. Rhmi is the recipient of many awards. I love this. She is an unsung hero state award by the NAACP. She has that award. Women of Empowerment Award, the Spirit of Excellence Award, and the Visionary Award from the Eagle Excellence Award, founded by Dr. Maria Vaughn. Dr. Rhmi received an honorary doctorate degree of philosophy in humanities from the United Graduate College and Seminary International. And so you know that when you receive an honorary doctorate, you are someone that's very special. And I want to have just a justice due to give her just due. I'm going to bring her onto the stage right now with me. Dr. Rhmi, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I am doing phenomenally well now that I know that you are here to add to this magnificent day. You bring that light, that positivity into the day. You know how you're just one of those people that I call like light people, because when you come into the room, your presence just, it vibrates throughout, and it adds a greatness in the atmosphere. So how are you today?
I am extremely blessed and just so excited to be able to be on here as your guest. God has ordered my footsteps, and nothing happens just by accident. So again, thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. I am, like I said earlier, I'm honored. There are just some phone calls that you just get elated about and you get excited about. And this time last year, I had the opportunity to meet you, and I came to the event to support Frances and friends, because she's doing phenomenal things in this community as well. And our first meeting, you just spoke life into me, and that has resonated with me until this day, And the words that you spoke were so prophetic. And I want to get into that to open up the show before we talk about the event tonight and go into your full circle moments and in life and your experiences that you've learned along the way. Talk to me about having the calling of God on your life, the ability to prophesy to people. Tell me, what is that? How does one know that they actually have that gift?
Well, that's a real deep question. You just taking me straight on in into all your listeners. I'm trying to get that and answer it the best way that I know how. And one of the things that, when we had the opportunity to be able to meet, there's a whole journey that comes along with that. But I am the third generational female pastor. My grandmother was a pastor in 1977 when it was unheard of to have female pastors. You could be the missionary, you could be the evangelist, but you surely wasn't going to be the pastor. And she hewed out that ministry that I have now taken on and inherited and expanded. So, but with that, it came along with the deliverance ministry and things that are in there. I just say that I'm probably the first licensed social worker, but my great-great-grandmother, all of them in that line. So it is in my DNA on that aspect of it. But when you have a keen ear to be able to hear God and your heart agrees with what God is saying, you then have to be able to be so solid in, I got to walk this out even when it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Even when I don't have a clear cut plan, I just need to obey God, which will take you right back to Abraham, right? Of saying, just go and I'll tell you when you get there. Well, that's how I feel right about now being here with you. Just go. That whole storyline from last year to this year is just go. And it will unfold what the Lord has said prophetically. So we're walking out prophecy every day if we really allow the Lord to order our footsteps.
You're absolutely right with that. I received that message. And even when we spoke on the phone today, you stated exactly along the lines of what you're saying is nothing is by happenstance. Like nothing just happens sporadically. It is all serving a purpose. And that's how I feel about my podcast in totality. I know that I am purposed to do this. I know that I am in this space. And at first I had to really, really, really think about what I was doing, because at first I was like, I am just fulfilling the purpose that God has on my life. Mm-hmm. This is why I'm doing it. So this is why I feel fulfilled and I feel great about it. And then a revelation just came to me, and it's like, Jazz, like you're telling people how to successfully make a comeback and to show them how they have successfully made a comeback. And everything is leading back to God. Like everything that they are saying, they never leave God out of the equation. You're coming out of the muck. You're coming out of your hardships. You're coming out of your tribulations. And God is always referenced in their story and in their situation. And it was nothing but God that got me to the point that I'm at right now. And so that realization, it's like, it is so much more than a podcast. It is so much more than just your purpose. Like God chose you to speak to the masses, to bring people into the awareness that it is by Him. Everything is happening through Him and by Him. And I'm just like, wow, just in my walk with Him, be trying to come closer to Him.
Right.
I think that's so powerful. And it means a lot to me to be able to be in this space.
I am so grateful. Well, how you know it's so unique and wonderful, made of what you're doing on the conversation. I always minister from the place that not only will He bring you back, but He'll bring you back better. Yeah. That it is through the process that a lot of things get torn down. You hear me? It never was a part of His will with some of the decisions and areas that are in our life. And that has to be, you have to trust Him to circumcise it, to cut it off, and to understand that it's His will, that if I get off, He's going to bring me back. And when He brings me back, I'm going to be better than before. But the enemy's job is trying to make you think that you can't come back from it. And as long as you got breath in your body, and one of the things that we say all the time is breathe, baby, breathe. Listen here, it is take that breath in. He gives you life to come back and to be able to do what you've done even better than before, because there's a price for your oil. So I'm so grateful that, as you are gleaning from other people to pull on that story, there had to be a cost and a process to be who you are. So as a spiritual midwife, and that's the job and role in which I operate, I'm an apostle, spiritual midwife. I train up apostolic midwives, spiritual midwives. And one of the things to be able to understand is birthing purpose.
Yeah.
And through that process, you need to understand that everybody was born pregnant. Everybody has the potential to be able to bring forth. And the enemy is trying to keep you from being able to birth what it was that you carry.
Absolutely.
So there's always warfare. You know what I mean? There's always warfare attached. And so even with listeners on today, that we understand that, as soon as the Lord tells you what it is to do, it's like all hell done broke loose in my life. Every thing that could cause me to become unhinged and lose my focus and my train of thought. That's the kind of peace that, you know what I'm saying, that you got to be able to say, this comes along with the process, and the value of your oil, baby, I promise you, is through the crushing.
Oh, yes. Hi, Sonia Kinsler. Yvonne Kinsler is really speaking to that. She's saying there's a price for your oil. And
it is.
And absolutely, absolutely, I agree with that.
And you have to understand the value. of your oil. It cost me something to get where I am. You understand what I'm saying? But a lot of times people in the world will look at it, or even folk in church would look at it as characteristic flaws that from your mistakes, from your shortcomings and all that kind of stuff, that from a man's perspective, that disqualifies you. From God's perspective, that qualifies you. So all of the issues, tissues, and puffs in my life, right? That's my saying, that I got to understand it comes along with the process of getting me to where I need to be. And that's the test, right? That creates the testimony. And so if without that, there would be no need. I couldn't be on here with you, Jazz. So to be able to share that process of what it takes and the value, because if I had to go back, we always would say, oh, I would make different decisions in the whole 9 yards. But I promise you, it has made me to be who I am, with a real testimony of survival, and now being able to thrive in those areas that I never even thought were possible.
Yeah. Let me tell you where I am with the knowledge of all of that. And I know that anything that I go through, I know that it is serving an ultimate purpose. When those hardships hit,
yes, ma'am.
Dr. Rhmi, when those hardships hit, I am trying to get to a spiritual level as to where when those hardships hit, I immediately thank God. Like I fall on my knees and I thank him, because there's something on the other side of this. It's so many people that are at that point where they carry it. I need to fix it. How am I going to fix it? Oh Lord, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I, what am I going to do? I need to do this. I need to do that, instead of just first surrendering it to God. Right. It's a constant process to work in that space of saying, Lord, I just surrender it. I give it all to you, and you take it. But then when I reflect, I'm like, no, when you really, you've been through some situations where all you could do was fall on your knees and just say, Lord, I don't know what to do. And that was the first thing I did, but it's like, it's levels to it in my spiritual growth right now. It has to be tremendously big, where it's like, there's no possible way I can't do this, versus with the smallest thing. And then like in all things, I'm trying to get to the point where I can just go to him first and trust him with everything first, instead of me being the person who has to fix it. What do you say to that too? Like, what would you say to me in terms of helping me grow in that area?
You didn't set my soul on fire with that. That would take me directly to Revelations, the 12th chapter, looking at what I call DSW, the dragon slaying woman. It's in our spiritual DNA that the Lord has put us in position where he's already downloaded what you need to be able to do what you need to do. You know, they talk about her. She has the crown that's on her head. She's clothed with the sun, riding on the moon. So there is a season for everything. And when your mind and your heart is connected to God, even while your season is moving, you still find yourself not falling off, not being moved, right? You're on your way to birth out what it was that he called you to do. But in Revelations, the 12th chapter, that DSW, there was a 7-headed dragon. So as she landed, she still was pregnant with purpose, you see. But there was the 7-headed. 7 means it's completion. It means that it wants to come at you from every area. As you grow in your walk, maybe at the beginning, 1 or 2 things would get you distracted. But by the time that you become a jazz like you, and the people who are watching it takes more than that to get you off your square, right? What we do is really teach the tools of understanding that I need to release it. When I give birth to it, if the enemy could have killed me, if he could have killed you, if he could have killed them, he would have did it. But all he's doing is putting on a big show. He's putting on, making a whole bunch of noise, but he can't take you out. And as long as you understand that I'm always connected, I have the authority that has been given to me by God, that one of the things she does, she releases the very baby that he was after. And so she releases it and gives it back to God. So you need to understand that the stuff that we holding on to, if we learn to give it back to God first, like you just said, then we now have disarmed the enemy, that the thing that you trying to get in my head about, that you trying to snatch, that I can't be able to protect it on my own, but it came from the Father, the creator, my author, the finisher of my faith, right? So with that being said, we need to learn how to let it go so we can grow. The enemy is always coming at us, but how do I give it back to God and say, listen, this is the plan that you gave me. This is the child that you gave me. I'm going to give it back to you because I've done all I know how to do, but I trust you with what you gave me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfectly good sense. It makes perfectly good sense. And you said something in that when you know that you're living and you're walking in that purpose that God has for you, that's when you have the most hell in your life, right? And you talked about how that's when the enemy shows up. That's how you get your testimonies, by going through this test. Up until this point, it literally just hit me. I'm going to tell you what happened to me last night, and now I realize why it happened. Some call it sleep paralysis, right? I literally this morning, like around maybe 4:00, I just, when you have that dream, it's like that dream that you can see yourself sleeping, or you can just see yourself and you can't move. And it's like it is something that is battling and struggling with you. I have gone through that before, but today was a little bit different. It was like I was watching myself. Like if we are looking through the square, I was watching myself, but it was through like a circle. And I just kept seeing a circle. And on the outside of that circle, it was like all these forces. Like it felt so dark. But it was like in this circle, it's like I saw myself, and all I could hear was me just saying, I know that God has me. Like it was just like I kept saying something about God, like, but God has me and I'm not fearful. It's like I was talking to myself, where it was just like nothing was getting in this circle, but it was just like all this other stuff. And it's like normally when I have those dreams, I wake up and I'm so scared. It's like I couldn't even move. And it's like I have never had it where it's just like it was just, I can explain, it was just this circle just repeating, like the Lord is with you, so you will not be afraid. Like it was just like, and I woke up so peaceful, like nothing had happened. Like normally I'm like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Like I'm afraid. But today, and I really don't even know why up until this particular moment, I even thought about it again. It's like it was like out of my mind this morning. Like I didn't even really see it as anything. Whereas before I would be like, oh my God, like what are these things, that these adversities, or I don't know, like the demonic, forces that are coming against me. And I would be walking through the day so scared. But today I just had so much peace. And I'm like, what was that about? I don't know. I woke up.
Can I share? Because I'm just about to burst over here. Like, good God, I reckon what a setup indeed. But when you think about it, for as a spiritual midwife, one of the things that we deal with is numbers, seasons, being a part of the tribe of Issachar, understanding the prophetic nature, to be able to understand the seasons and the times and what's happening. Okay. So when you came into that place at the 4 a.m. mark, 4 means season, 4 in creation. There's something that's being created. And so that's the main part. God is trying to birth something out of you. You're in your next season. Don't make me go and skip into what I was talking about, even the number of this show, where we are when you think about that 141, right? So it is with that 4 with season, and then all of the trials, all of the things, it is a transformation piece and process that's going through. But God has got his hands on you. The promissory note for his children is that he'll give you peace beyond man's understanding. So the outside influences, the things that people are trying, and the enemy is warring and trying to do, you are in a bubble. You are protected, like the inner part of that womb. You are in that sac that it cannot penetrate. And so you are growing and developing, but fully aware that there are demonic forces that are trying to, but they can't touch you. No weapons formed against you shall prosper, because you have already been called and ordained to be able to do what God has called you to do. So that would be that piece. And then we were talking about this when I heard you say 141, and that thing leaped in my spirit, because we're right now in the season of 100-fold. So we're in the 100-fold season, which means there are no limits. This is the season all the way up until you get to the March or April, when we go into the 30-fold season, and we teach that as well. But when you understand that that whatever the Lord is saying, what you say, you're going to see. What you're speaking into existence. So when I speak the word of God and what the Lord is showing me, and I walk out that, it's magnifying, it's appearing. But the enemy ain't just trying to sit by and let Jazz do what Jazz do without a fight. And that's what happens with most believers, because the Lord has spoken to you and given you instructions. You thought that it was going to be no pushback. You thought that there would be no real fight. But the truth of it is, that's an indicator that you're on the right path and you're doing exactly what God has called you to do because of the assignment that's on your life. So when we look at this real quick, and I think you'll like this, that 41 in Hebrew, even when we talk about 40, period, symbolizes water, life, divine wisdom, and it often represents transformation. So you're in the season of transformation of what's being released in this 100-fold season. So there is unlimited opportunities, doors that are swinging open for you, cleansing the womb of creation. We're in a season where God is cleansing so that there could be new birth to take place. And that 4 o'clock, you can't make that kind of stuff up. Listen, you can't make that up. I promise you. And then 41 represents a transformation led by divine unity and beginning of new spiritual phase. So the power of partnerships, that when you can get alongside, that's why midwives are so necessary, to remind you that you're on the right course, and that, listen here, you got to push. I need you to put, this was major. This is a big push. The higher you go up, we always talk about it, new levels, new devils. Absolutely. You need to have somebody that can be able to remind you to breathe when life hits you so hard or makes you feel like you're off course. You also talked about 3. This is your 3rd year, right? Is this your 3rd year? Yes, so 3rd year. Yes. When you begin to think about Trinity, that's still the partnership in this whole process. But let me just share this with you, and I'm going to throw it back at you. But 3 represents divine completeness, balance, and stability. The enemy wants to kill you before the 3 and 5 years of any ministry or business that you go after. That fight is the culture of trying to create a culture of quitting, trying to make you quit before it's time. But 3, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, also the symbolic harmony of divine order. So when we begin to think about harmony, you are partnering with people from all over the world in order to be able to inspire others that they can continue and go forward, because nobody skips this process of warfare. Nobody skips it. If there's a call on your life, nobody negate it. What we do is educate, give you the tools so that, because when you're going to bring forth birth, no birth is the same. Every birth, you can have multiple births. But those births, some could be easy, some could be extremely long, some are complicated, some are near-death experiences. So they're all different, and you need different tools for each birthing process of where you are in your life. But baby, you are the new creative season, and I'm glad to be able to be a part and witness what God is doing.
I am so elated to have you here. I cannot tell you how just you are able to, just like what you just did, you are able to have that keen ear, to listen, to tap into what we need. And I'm gonna be a little transparent with you. I'm gonna be a little transparent with you. When I first met you, as soon as you met me, you spoke things that were such in alignment with what I needed to hear. And I was like, no, I don't want to cry. I don't want to be shouting. I like, with that prim and proper praise, it's just like, but let me tap my feet. But you evoke more than just a tapping of the feet. I mean, at the event last year, I'm tearing up. I made a live because I was just so taken aback. I was just like, this woman of God just spoke to me, and I will admit it. Like I shy away from it. It's like sometimes you shy away from the truth, and it's like when I'm at events and I'm like, when people are going around prophesying or they're praying, and I'm like, Lord, please don't let them come over here, because I don't want to be vulnerable in front of everybody. Like I don't want to lose the control that I think I have. But God is probably laughing like, girl, you are about to get this, right? Because you need it, right? And I'm just being very transparent, but I could not keep quiet. I literally made a video in my car, like, what is about to happen tomorrow? If it's any indication of what I just got tonight, you guys need to be there. And several people, like when they came that Saturday, they were like, Jazz, I saw your live and I'm here.
Wow.
Oh, I had a friend bawling at the table because you directly talked to her and spoke life into her. And it was mind blowing. It was amazing.
Wow.
And so to hear it in real time, to see it in real time, Lakeland is about to get that same thing today and tomorrow. You have I'm excited about it too. And I was looking at the flyer. It's the Apostolic Hub in Florida, 2025. It's going to be a focus on education, business, family, and health. It's your one-stop shop for the kingdom. So let's talk about that. What's going on at this phenomenal, this miraculous event?
Well, let me tell you, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. But one of the things when you're on a journey and it's walking out by faith. I'm in a new territory that, like last year, I had never been in before, and so we did a tour throughout the country doing a midwife tour, and that was one of our locations. And so being able, he said, we got to get out of the house. We're going to have to go into the business, to the marketplace. We're doing kingdom business. We need to network and meet people. And so there's never agenda. There's never this set, this is the way. No, this is not building a service. Okay. This is building community. This is creating an atmosphere of really people understanding there's something in me. And how do I get that out of me? And so we have networked, met people. The Lord will speak in our individual conversations and then overall message, because tonight is the spiritual forecast. So it is what we say we're going to see at the first month of 2025, when there is a perfect alignment in between January and the ecclesiastical calendar of Tevet. Both, it doesn't happen too often, that there's a perfect alignment, that what is taking place on the Gregorian calendar is open heaven. That we always talk about, I'm living under open heaven and whole 9 yards. Can you even identify it? Well, we're identifying that we're in the season where there's a perfect alignment, that so what is being released in heaven, we can receive here on earth. What we say, we're going to see. That it's so powerful. And so when you talk about that, that happened all over the country, where the Lord will just allow us to have an encounter with one another, that all it does is leap. Your baby leaps. Why? Because there's confirmation. It's not nothing new. It confirms what God has already said about you. And he allows someone to come from the outside and to be able to speak right there where you are, so that you know, oh no, I'm right on right track. Or there's an expectant. I only show up when there's a birthing about to take place, because I'm an apostle. I walk in that piece. I only show up to expectants. So people who are expecting a move of God, and you know that God is getting ready to do something like never before in your life, you need to get in the room, baby. I promise to tell you the truth, because we're going to birth this thing out indeed. So we're back for the second phase. This is the second half of it, you know, and the best is yet to come. So that whole apostolic hub, the Lord said, you put seed in the ground. So there are certain regions that the Lord has given me the assignment. And right here in Florida is one of them. And being able to go into the marketplace, meet with business leaders, senior leaders, people that are on a mission to do what God has called them to do, is what we're doing. And if we're not healthy, Jazz, then it doesn't matter what you were called to do. If you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to get that done. And that's how the enemy, he can't stop you. He'll delay you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I can't stop you, but if I can delay you until your time run out, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So we got to have those teachings and understanding about health, our family. If we're doing all this kind of stuff, building businesses and doing this, but our family is jacked up and running all of this, we need the tools to be able to know, even when it's warfare, to try to hinder you, to keep you from doing what God has called you to do, and how you can have balance in your life. And then the same thing with doing kingdom business. We've got Dr. Val, who partners with me and doing kingdom grants and how to develop kingdom businesses and put the strategies in place, and then education, because our people perish through the lack of knowledge. And we have no idea that the answers are all around us. But because we don't talk to each other, because we don't get out of our comfort zones and get on up off the couch and stop crying and whining about it, but get in the room maybe where you've never been before and watch God do something that he already promised that he would do for you. So that's what's going on tonight and tomorrow.
Yes. And it is happening at the Black Swan venue. So you guys support that venue.
New venue.
It's a great venue. New venue. It is beautiful. And there are so many people to network with, but to just get in the room and get the right resources. Like the resources are here for you. So we got to show up, Lakeland. Make sure you guys show up tonight and tomorrow night. Tonight is at 6:30.
And tomorrow's in the morning. It's between, so we got the evening for those that can come in the evening. We got you on Friday night. Tomorrow at 10 to 2, we'll actually be going in and giving those strategies and teaching on how we're going to do what we're going to do. But we coming back. This is the spot for us to be able to birth, build, and become. We're going to give birth to it. We're going to give the tools to build it and then to become. We're not trying to create what's already existing, but we're talking about everything you need to be able to bring leaders like yourself under the same roof so that we can be able, iron sharpens iron, and we need to have some real talk and some real conversations. So thank you for this opportunity to be able to share.
Listen, absolutely. I just thank you. And when we talk about the opportunity and the space to be able to share, Dr. Rhmi, what people may look at you and they may say, you know, you've had this life that has always been centered in God, and God has led you, and you, they see the awards, the accolades, the successes, you know, 5 different centers that you've been able to open. You are a leader for men to find their purpose, not only women, but men. And you've created this immaculate kingdom of doing God's work. And so they may think, Dr. Rhmi's never been through anything. What would you like to share with them? Like, because we all have been through things and we all have a comeback story. What is that for you?
Child, listen, I got too many stories that we got time for of all of the things that would have disqualified me in the natural realms to say that I could not be able to, but it's gained me such wisdom. My father passed away when I was 5 years old. And so I was raised by a single mother, even with doing ministry in that, but I was looking for love in all the wrong places. I know nobody could talk about that. Looking for that nurturing from a male perspective, right? Find myself just doing the ridiculous, if I can say so, which led me down the road to be able to pour in to young girls who have walked in the same vein. You know, I had my first child at the age of 19. I'm a PK. Listen, they turned around and was like the church just about closed up because the granddaughter of the pastor then had a baby. You know, at that age, that was just something, you know, oh God, that was just radiating everywhere. And it was hard. It was a season for me that I thought that disqualified me. I'm the black sheep of the family. I'll never be able to come back from that. I'm so grateful that that same baby, listen here, that's 30 something now, right? Is now in ministry herself, just got married, etc. And it is my right hand with doing ministry, right? But the enemy would try to make you believe that is now disqualified you. The Lord already knew what you was going to do before you did it. He already knew the call that was on her life, right? And then that also makes me relatable to any other young woman that has had a child that is out of wedlock, who went through and felt like it was a scandal. At the end of the day, it also birthed out A.H.E.A.R.T, providing emergency assistance for infants in crisis, supporting families families that are in need. So I'm like, listen, don't you get rid of that, baby. Listen, let me help you. We partner with them for 2 years. We'll say, listen, if you making a decision based upon finances or what it is, listen, if that's what it is, let us help you. And we'll help you with monthly diapers, and we'll help you with wipes. We'll help you with the car seat and the stroller. We'll give you the baby shower. So that ain't the issue, but it gives us a real talk because this, we can't talk about not having an abortion and not having an answer or a resolve or a solution. We've got to put some things in place to say, I'll come up alongside of you, cover you and help you and still push you that you can still go and get your education, that you can still be all that God called you to be. You see what I'm saying? So these are some of the things. But y'all, I could talk about coming back from Hurricane Sandy and losing everything. That not my house, not Lord, you just called me into full-time ministry. That storm gonna hit everybody else's house and not mine, because I'm yours. Well, that storm came through, and listen, I felt like I was a storm chaser. It was chasing me everywhere I went for that whole year. Wherever I went, there was a storm that showed up. But that particular storm washed off everything. I lost a marriage. I lost all of my belongings, things that I'd held on to. And I thought I couldn't come back from that. And now I got to find a home for me and my 4 kids. He done walked off somewhere. And I'm like, Lord, you called me into full-time ministry, and I don't have any paperwork. I don't have no paycheck stubs. How in the world am I ever going to be able to get a home or come back from that? Don't tell me that the Lord won't birth out that opportunity to bring you back from nothing, from being at a hotel, and every week they're giving you a call saying you got 1 more week to be able to find a place. That's a real place that most people don't know. But your experiences of what you had to come back from is the testimony to help somebody else, that not only can you, but you will, and he'll bring you back better than before. So even with those people in Florida and California, et cetera, that have gone through these storms and chaoses in their lives, baby, I'm a witness that, listen, if he allowed it, child, he got a better plan that's heading your way. So fear not, and just watch God do the doggone thing. So that's where I live at. You know what I mean?
Speak it. I love it. And I like to know that when I have special guests on my podcast, that people can use this episode to go back and reference, but they can also support the guests that I have on. And what you have spoken to is essential in understanding, because some people literally are sitting there feeling like, I know you have this podcast, but you just don't understand what I'm going through. What I'm going through, I don't see how I'm going to get out of it. And I love the way that you so willingly and transparently have shown you've had several comebacks in your life, and it can all be gotten back through the power of God. There is nothing that God cannot do. And, I hear conversations sometimes where people are just like, no, I can't come back from this. And it's like, but do you not know who your maker is? Your maker has no limits on what he can do. My son used to come from preschool singing this cute little song. I have this little video from him singing it. He just had his 11th birthday on the 15th. And so it goes, my God is so big and so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. And they'll just say that over and over and over. My God is so big and so strong and so mighty. At 3 years old, my baby used to be around that house singing that song. And I'm like, that's right, baby. There's nothing my God cannot do. So it's like I sing that little song every time someone adult says, but you just don't understand. I don't see how I'm going to make it out of this. Well, you're not the one that's supposed to get you out of it. You have to have belief, faith, move on the fact that you believe that God will take you out of it. So I appreciate you just stamping that with your approval, and moving forward. You are not all of these other things, just these other things. You also have authored 3 books. Talk about these 3 books and how we can support you and get these 3 books.
Well, listen, I think I might even brought one in here. The latest one we just did, because we're on a Daniel's fast. It's 21 days Daniel fast. It is hot off the presses. It's on Amazon, so you could be able to get it from Amazon. And this is a picture of this manual. So one of the things that we're looking at in order to give birth and to build, we have to build our bodies back. So even making a wise decision of what we eat, and 365 days is what he gave us in this year, was 21 days. So we talk about that whole piece with Daniel's fast, 10 times better. This is the season that I decree and declare that everything that is ordained by God, instituted by him, is going to be 10 times better. But it means that we have to resist the culture that says, here, you can have all of that. You can eat that on the go. You can, no, he said, if you will restrain, if you will honor me, pray and fast, because this ain't about a diet. This is not just about exercise, but this is talking about a lifestyle of prayer and fasting. Some things I only come through prayer and fasting, right? So we're teaching that aspect of it. We're in that season right now. And then it's the deliverance part, to be able to say, you know what, God, I believe that can I even handle the vision? So when you talk about seeing the vision at 4 a.m. and all of this, Lord, can I even, Daniel asked, he said that thing was so weighty that the people who didn't see it, they just heard a sound. They couldn't handle the weight of what I saw. God's getting ready to show you things, but are you built up in your faith, in your body to even handle? Can you stand to be blessed, right? Can you handle what's coming your way, of the energy and the synergy that it takes for all of that? One of the other books, and you can find all of them on Amazon, and then those would be under Apostle Robin Hargrove, H-A-R-G-R-O-V-E. But that's another story that I can tell you of what did happen to me in the last 3 years ago, right? But I'll tell you. But one of the other books is Serving Beyond Sabotage. Can I serve? Can I stay on my post? Can I do what God has called me to do when there is a spirit of sabotage? I can't be so consumed when you begin to think about who's in your life that's trying to come and hinder and sabotage what's going on. Judas is a real thing. People can get consumed with Judas, but don't forget about John. John was sent to love you and stick with you and stay with you, but we'll put more emphasis on Judas, right? And get off our square. So now we're not open. We're not open to new relationships. We're not open to what God is, because we're like, I don't trust nobody. You know what I mean? So for that encounter to happen with you and I meant that you had to be open to be able to receive in an environment that you were uncomfortable, but we set an atmosphere that makes it conducive. So we remind people that there's a spirit of sabotage that's out there, but can you continue to serve? And then we have the last one, and I'm trying to think of the Lord Jesus, is the feast, the mysteries of the feast. So it's actually a tool belt to be able to honor. God said, do these feasts unto all generations. Jesus even walked out the feast, right? And so it is a whole time of understanding that if you honor the feast spiritually, you're always right there, not missing anything. It's like your spiritual checkups. It's the releasing of the 30, 60, 100 fold in each one of those seasons. So that book, I always say it's great to be, not only how can I do it, I don't know anything about it. Nobody's ever taught me about it. Well, it's all in there. And we're getting ready to do the part 2 to that with all of the things that show you. Because even in the Bible, certain things happen in the season, but no one talks about the season. But the seasons in your life are very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we have someone that is thanking us, Miss Francis. Francis is thanking, giving a shout out to Dorcas Crumbly and the Black Swan venue for hosting the event that I know you have to get ready. You don't have to get ready for, because you're already glammed for it. So shout out to your glam team. Shout out to your driver. Shout out to everyone there who's making sure that you are of sound mind, body, spirit, as you head over and you shift gears and you make it over to the event. And so tell us one more time what they can expect tonight at 6:30 and then on tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. But tonight at 6:30 at the Black Swan venue, what can we expect, Dr. Rhmi?
Well, listen, first of all, I want to give a shout out to all the Women Birthing Nations International. Those are the midwives that have gone through my training classes and hosted me. That's the reason why we got here. So I'm so grateful for Francis being able to find that venue, to all of the team, to Pastor Valerie Long, to Prophetess Linda, all of them, right, that came together and see the vision and are supporting it. But tonight, we'll have the same encounter, even greater, to get an opportunity to meet you, to be able to just have real talk. I promise you, The room is so packed and conducive for a new birth to take place of purpose. You will leave there not only just by an encounter with the Father or just meet me, but the people in the room, man, they are so loaded with so many gifts and so many opportunities that your answers in the room, we're unearthing the treasure, the hidden treasures. I believe that it is setting up a roadmap for your next, that you will begin to birth that thing out, to be able to develop it, become, build it so that you can become it. And sometimes we don't even know until we see it. I didn't know this was a thing, but I know this is what I do. So get in the room, and I promise you, on tonight, we have Pastor Katrina, who's also, we're doing a spiritual forecast. So we're saying some things that the Lord, we're giving some divine revelation, and that's a bad sister all by herself as well. So we're going to be tag teaming, sharing about what the Lord is sharing about this season. And I just can't wait to be able to meet new people that I've never met before, re-meet and re-engage and take it up to another level with people who I have met before. But I know this is going to be epic because this is a development by God. So no matter who's in the room, we all going to get blessed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Rhmi. Can you tell everyone how we can follow you on social media? How can we I just want to be able to pick up the phone and call you, but I know everybody can't have that luxury. So how can we follow you? How can we keep up with you?
Well, one of the things that I do from Tuesday to Friday, I'm on live on 10 at 10. I have a ministry 10 at 10 that's on Facebook. And so www.drrhmi.com. You can be able to follow us on that. The Facebook is facebook.com. And it's Robin with 2 B's, ROBBIN, Hargrove. Rhmi, RHMI. So you can follow me on there. We also have YouTube. So we want to connect with you there. And that's Rhmi, RHMI, Spiritual Midwife. So if you put up Rhmi, the Spiritual Midwife, you'll find me on YouTube as well. And then if you want to be able to fellowship with us in any way, you can meet us at the embassy. And so we have 2 embassies in Jersey. And that is the Embassy St. James, and that is in Egg Harbor City, about 20 minutes from Atlantic City. And then 30 minutes away from there, we have the Embassy House of Zion, and that is right there downtown in Violence. So, and then there's classes. We're doing classes to be a spiritual midwife and an apostolic midwife. And it's not too late for you to register. So if you want to know more about that, go right on over there to where I just told you to go to. Again, let me make sure I got it right. Rhmi, the Spiritual Midwife. You can look up Women of Deliverance as well, WOD Ministries, or put in Spiritual Midwives. You'll find me on there, and take the class. It's 9 weeks. And I promise you, we're talking about birthing better in 2025.
Absolutely. I love it. Dr. Rhmi, it has been such a pleasure to have you on for episode 141 of the Jazzie Conversations with Jazz podcast. I can't wait to see you tonight. I am going to come in. I'm going to step in and see, say hello, hug you,
Please.
and feel the spirit and say hello to all of the magnificent people who are going to be giving of themselves in order to uplift the kingdom of God. So I really thank you. Thank you for coming to Polk County. Thank you for thinking of us. Thank you for putting us on the map.
You are on the heart and mind of God. So, listen, we're on assignment, and y'all some special people. So I'm just excited to be a part.
Thank you. So listen, Jazzie crew, thank you so much for tuning in on a special day. You guys did my heart some good. You tuned in on a Friday. I know that we are at work. I know that we're getting off from work. I know that everybody's going to come back for the replay of this episode. This episode is going to, especially on my behalf, is going to do a special replay on Monday as well, which is my normal time, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, IG, YouTube, and all of your favorite podcast platforms. So make sure you tune in, make sure you subscribe, you follow, you like, you share, and you leave us a review in the comment section. Share this with as many people as you can. I would love to see about 75 shares on this episode, because then that raises the numbers. Ultimately, make sure you are subscribing everywhere. It's at Jazzie Conversations with Jazz. That's JAZZIE Conversations with Jazz on all your social media platforms. And remember, now is the time for a dope comeback. You can come back from anything with God, the right resources, knowing how to use those resources effectively, and your willingness to do the necessary work. I will see you back here on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you later, Jazzie crew. I will see you later, Dr. Rhmi. Thank you so much for being my special guest.
Thank you. Amen.
Have a great night.
God bless you.
God
Bye-bye.
bless you too. Bye-bye.